Any discussion, questions?
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey,
Okay.
Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Excuse me, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, no problem at all. Okay, so we'll be hearing no discussion.
Jim, give me,
Yes, go ahead.
I'm still trying to go live to YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It says live on YouTube.
I have one question.
Yes,
Good.
Jane.
Was Emily Maddery, the speech language pathologist, was she hired? I don't think I saw her mentioned as hired, but I saw her as having interviewed and her resume was there.
She's on the higher recommendation list.
Okay.
And her information is there for you.
I had one, yeah, I had one question about that. Yes?
Jane.
Jane, usually the consent agenda, especially around hiring, is we don't go into any kind of detail unless we, in order to protect the privacy of
We'd
the
have-
individual,
Have to go to
want to
executive
pull
session.
that out. So we generally don't ask with respect to the hiring stuff unless we pulled it out and go into an executive session. Is the protocol.
Thank you. I had one question, but I'm wondering, is it proper that I can perhaps just type a question to Randy?
You could. It's essentially we're yeah. Is it, you know, what's the nature of the question?
It's all
Without, you know,
yeah, it's
the
public
concern
record.
for executive. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's public record, so what's in the chat. So if it's anything
Okay.
related to the
Right.
personnel, we wouldn't want to ask it.
Yeah, it's sort of a question of would the, you know, what you want to ask about, is it in any way, shape, or form? You know, there's a reason that the resumes
Okay.
are not shared with the public.
Okay.
And is it sufficiently important that you feel uncomfortable taking a position on approving the hires?
No, well, I guess it was just a question, but I'm not sure how to best.
Can I respond? Years ago, I've been on the school board a long time. Years ago, school board members used to actually be involved in hiring and had their fingers in places where they didn't belong. And I'm trying to remember what the law was, but it's been several years now that the responsibility for hiring goes to the superintendent and not to the school board. So we can't turn down.
I think I can.
And that's very much
Thank
a
you.
policy governance, you know, concept as
Sure.
well, because, you know, frankly, the reason that we approve the hires as a board is because the law still says that the hires have to be approved by the board.
So I think I can maybe just ask my question as a general question then.
Okay.
Without having, so the general question I have is, in looking at hires or, you know, personnel, there's not necessarily concern if it's not stated in someone's resume that they specifically have worked with children.
I think the decision on the hire, you know, there's a reason
Okay,
we leave it up to the professionals, is because, you know, they make a determination as to whether of the people who are available and interested, whether this person is a good fit. And
Okay.
what, you know, what we have as well is for new hires, we have a 1-year period that that you can actually, within the first year, you can sort of decide that it's not working out. That's fair to say? Randy?
yes, thank you.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
2-year probationary period.
The other
Right.
thing important is if you ever have a question about any individual, what you do in advance of the meeting is, in this case, Jim, who's the chair, you ask that that person be removed from the consent agenda, and then we instantly go into executive session for the purposes of personnel.
Yeah.
Then you can ask your question in executive session. And then if you're satisfied, we go back in and approve the hiring.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
As Deb-
advisement. Mhm.
Yeah, as Deb said, in the past, the board members got very involved in a lot of details and were
Yeah.
essentially kind of wanted to be part of the hire process.
Of course.
And
Lots
so,
of
okay,
relative-
any further discussion? Any further discussion on that? Okay, so all in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay,
Unanimous.
so that passes unanimously. Move on to governance process, and the first item is, review and approve financial management questionnaire. This is an annual item that we typically do in March, but we've had a few other things up this year, so the financial management question, just to kind of give the advance, we could ask Sue or Randy to talk about it, but basically, yeah, Dick, go ahead.
Or I can get it on the table by making a motion to approve the financial management questionnaire, and then we could, if necessary, discuss it.
Okay. Okay, so there's a motion by Dick. Do we have a second? Michael?
Yeah.
Is that a second?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, I was just gonna say that, the format is consistent from year to year and the answers are consistent to what we had last year. That's what I was gonna mention. Any discussion, questions? Jane?
Just one. Yeah, just one question. There was a question there about, do school board members attend financial trainings? And the answer was no. And I just was wondering if at some point, does the board do any kind of training with respect to us being responsible for fiduciary type matters?
Right.
Thank you.
We haven't done it ourselves. The VSBA every year has a financial session available. I attended last year's. And so, if board members, we say no because we don't require everybody to do it, although it would be really nice if everybody did attend those sessions.
Thank you.
It's a basic overview of the financial management of districts. Okay, any other discussion, questions? Sorry, we just are kind of tight on time tonight, so we're getting into doing these 15-minute meetings. Okay, all in favor of approving the financial management questionnaire as presented, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that looks unanimous. Okay, so approve the memorandum of agreement for redesignation of 2 parent-teacher days. As Dick said, we'll have a motion.
I'd place a motion that we recommend that we approve the attached MOAs.
Okay, Michael makes the motion, Dick second. Do you want to give us a quick intro? Randy?
Sure. I'll just quickly say that we really determined that our teachers could use as much time up front for the start of the school year as possible this year to prepare, get trained, collaborate. So we moved all professional development days, and we requested that the parent-teacher conference days get moved up to the front of the year. So we've been doing that, and it's been very, very useful. And this is an MOA because it was a change to the agreement, and the teachers agreed to it. Any changes to the agreement need to be signed off by the teachers and board chairs.
Yeah, quick question. Does that mean that, parent-teacher days are kind of, since we're in a different mode, they aren't happening the same way?
Right, they won't be. There's going to be lots of different contact, and we'll make sure that parents and teachers are connecting, but it will be different. We won't be allocating whole days for that work this year.
Okay. Other questions, discussion? Yeah, if everybody's comfortable, then all in favor of approving the MOA for redesignation of 2 parent-teacher days, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so that's unanimous. Now we have the action item of approve the mandatory electronic communications between employees and students policies.
So moved.
Dick makes a motion to approve. The second from
Oh, second.
Corey. Okay. Now this, has everyone here seen this in their boards?
Yep.
So there's, Dean, how about you guys?
Dean's the one person who has not seen this yet. We haven't had it at Edwin Hall meeting yet.
Okay. So
And
Dean, I don't know if you need any intro or anything on this.
Nope, I read it in the lead up to the meeting.
Okay. So any questions, discussion?
I have just one
Yeah,
question.
Jane, please.
So on item number 4D, and I actually had this come up, and so this is why I'm asking. It mentions that there's the unwelcomed sexual conduct, okay? I just want to say that having treated a student in high school, there was welcomed sexual conduct that was done on electronic devices, and officers had to step in outside of the school. So what I wonder about is if we maybe just need to take out unwelcomed, because it was the view of the law that got involved in this case that it was not appropriate, even though it was consensual on electronic devices. I honestly had this happen. Yes.
Does not surprise me. I mean, you're dealing with people in high school, it's high school ages, so all bets are off.
Right, but I think it's an easy remedy, but I just want to ask that question because it really became a legal issue.
Yeah.
So this is because it's a mandatory policy established by the state. If
Okay.
you determined as a board that you are not wanting to approve this, and you'd like to make a recommendation back to VSBA, then you could do that. But you as a board don't have the authority to change a mandatory state policy.
Yeah, I think as just a kind of a suggestion here, Jane, since David and I are on the VSBA board, we can always raise that with the VSBA as it's a good point. But if we can kind of move forward, put it in place, and then we can,
I understand,
we can try to deal
of
with it
course.
from there.
I
Dick,
just want to
yeah?
say that we actually had the school involved, an attorney, and police officers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that the distinction in this case is that any kind of sexual conduct in any form or other is against the law between a teacher and or staff member and a student. And so therefore, I think that the reason for the unwelcomed part is clearly the student is now being oppressed, where welcomed is against the law. And anybody in authority who finds out about it means that they are mandatory reporters and the police have to get involved.
And I just would like to add that, Dick, I don't think in this particular case, in that section 4, this would necessarily relate to student-teacher interchanges. It could probably also be to student. Is that correct, Randy?
I'm sorry, say that again, Michael.
I don't know necessarily that this refers only to a student-teacher inappropriate relationship or
This is in a
exchange.
section separate from the.
Oh, it is?
No, section 3 is student teacher, and section 4 is enforcement associated with anything.
Yep.
I was just wondering, I assumed that meant across the boards, if there was improper behavior between two students.
Let me just offer that I will bring this up to the VSBA just as a comment and see what the answer is, and I'll share that with you guys.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay. Good. Okay, so if there's no further discussion, then all in favor of approving the mandatory electronic communications between employees and students policy, please say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Are there any nays? Or any abstentions? Okay, so that passes it unanimously. We're running short on time, so The audit report, the audit letter was distributed for your information.
Mhm.
Real quick, if there are any questions on that, I guess I would kind of suggest if there are questions on that, probably, if you think everybody should hear them, great. If not, then going to Sue directly to ask any questions would make a lot of sense.
Yep.
She always has good answers.
She also always performs brilliantly, and everyone that I've ever read indicates that there's not a problem.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, because I read through it and I'm a financial geek, so I have a couple of minor sort of things, but at the same time, nothing of concern really. So, okay. So our next meeting date, now apologize to everybody for, we called off the last meeting because we didn't think we had much. Obviously, we did have some things that we had to take care of. Appreciate you all coming today and making the time to make this happen. Our next meeting date is not until way off in November 16th, unless something else comes up that requires our attention in the meantime. But, really appreciate you taking the time to make this work. I think that, we kind of gave Randy a little bit of a reprieve when she had a little too much on her table to do the last meeting. And so this works pretty well, I think.
Move for adjournment.
Okay, is there a second? Jane?
Sure.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, thanks, everybody.
Thank
Yeah.
you. We're gonna-
Thank you.
Thank you for running such an efficient meeting.